Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. The American economy has changed forever. Welcome to our channel, everyone. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications because this channel, the Ignition Time channel, is dedicated to presenting you the latest information about the country, the economy, as well as our money. Here's a headline of an article on your screen from the Washington Post: the permanently temporary 2021 economy in charts. In fact, there are huge forces that are pulling the economy in different directions, and there is a lot of uncertainty in terms of what lies ahead. Here's a quote from Diane Swonk, who's the chief economist at Grant Thornton. There's just no roadmap to opening a global economy in a pandemic. And people keep forgetting we're still in a pandemic. Now that the recovery not only has to fix what was lost, but also the scars and the wounds have to heal after hard-hit workers and industries reevaluated their futures, according to Swonk. Folks, here's what's going on. Wage growth has actually spiked for some individuals. Here's a chart on your screen that shows you the median annual growth in hourly wages for the employed, and this is a 3-month average. Folks, this is pretty astonishing information. As many companies opened, they said it was difficult to hire workers. But what's interesting is that workers who switch jobs almost always earn higher wages than those who stick with the same employer. But that gap has been the widest in the past 2 decades. In fact, job switchers got a typical hourly wage increase of about 5.4% from a year earlier, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta's wage tracker. Now, this is pretty incredible. Now, I want to be clear. Rising wages are a good thing because they give people more money to spend. But the problem is that rising wages are going hand in hand with companies struggling to fill more than 10 million empty jobs. So here's what's happening. If an employer is paying a higher wage to attract workers, they may then have to raise costs on consumers, which is going to raise inflation. And this inflation actually comes back to hurt the wage earner, because now just because you earn $15, $20 an hour instead of $10, $12 an hour, you're now paying more to buy milk, to buy eggs. You're paying more at the gas station. And this is the problem, folks. This is a major problem. In fact, here's another chart on your screen that shows you that inflation is indeed happening. In fact, used cars and trucks drove the spring inflation spike. On your screen, you'll see the change in consumer price index from the prior month. You'll start to see that used car prices, which by the way are an excellent gauge of inflation, are increasing, and used cars and trucks are up a whopping 52% since September 2019. Think about that for a second, 52%. Now keep in mind that this is a major headache for the administration. This is a major headache for the White House, because as things get more expensive, people are going to get more and more agitated. In fact, here's a quote from Tim Doy, who's an economist and Fed expert at the University of Oregon. He said this: "It's not just the same. It's whether this is becoming a little more embedded in the underlying inflation trends. That's what we were thinking in terms of transitory. And increasingly, I would say it looks like it appears that the price pressures are more widespread and as a result, more likely to result in elevated underlying inflation going forward." That's a fancy way of saying, oops, prices are going up. And we didn't expect that. Now, here's another factor. The virus is making restaurants suffer more and more, and restaurant recovery is much more challenging. In fact, here's another chart. Restaurant sales have returned, but workers haven't. You'll start to see the monthly sales are now rising for restaurants relative to how it was during the pandemic. Jobs haven't recovered at the same rate. And look at the job openings. Look at the right side of that chart right there. Job openings are substantially higher, even though restaurants are starting to reopen. Things are getting much harder for businesses in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality. Here's another chart that shows you that restaurant jobs fell as COVID was surging. This shows you the jobs at restaurants and bars and the monthly change. As you can expect, there was a big impact during the pandemic. But now, as we get towards September and October of 2021, you'll start to see that jobs at restaurants and bars are not coming back. And you'll see there's a direct correlation. You'll see the graph at the bottom in yellow that shows you the 7-day average of new COVID cases. There's a direct correlation between more COVID cases and between people taking up jobs at restaurants. As COVID surges, guess what? No one wants to work at a restaurant. Supply chains are getting absolutely slammed. Not only are prices for used cars and other things going up, but But anything that is imported into the US, anything that is coming in by ship, well, that is now starting to experience more and more of a backlog. Take a look at the shipping backlog, which is growing as the pandemic surges. Take a look at container ships waiting for a berth at the port of Los Angeles. You'll start to see that supply chain issues are now accelerating. So, this gives you a very clear sense of how the entire economy is being impacted and how things are going to become more and more challenging. We are not getting back on track as quickly as we wanted to. In fact, the Biden administration announced a 24/7 operation at a key US port and is working with major importers to clear a path for cargo ahead of the holiday season. Companies like Walmart, FedEx, and UPS have also committed to using the extended hours at the port of Los Angeles to offload shipping containers so that the stuff that you order on Amazon, the stuff that you order online, reaches you in time for the holiday season. Folks, this is the uneven recovery that is being faced by the US economy. This, in fact, is the permanently temporary 2021 economy. In other words, we are starting to see some things that could last for several months, and some things like the supply chain issues, I believe they should be sorted out in time for the holiday season, because during the holiday season, we all expect to get our stuff on time, and that is what all of these companies are trying to make sure does indeed happen, because at the end of the day, that's going to result in more profits for them, because at the end of the day, the US consumer spends the most amount of money, more than any other consumer in the world, during the holiday season, and that's where we're heading right now. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. I want to know what you think of these charts that I shared in this episode of Ignition Time. Keep in mind that the article that I referenced, the permanently temporary 2021 economy in charts, the article that you see on your screen right now from the Washington Post, you will get a link to this resource in the description section below. So you will be able to check out that article and let me know what you think. Do you think these issues are going to be long lasting, or do you think we'll be able to make our way through them and emerge on the other side and hopefully get back to life as we knew it prior to the pandemic? What do you think is going to happen? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. Also follow me on Twitter. This right here is my Twitter handle. You'll be able to keep up with all the latest news stories on Twitter. Thank you so much. And by the way, my Twitter handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.